What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to the late night agenda. It is a pleasure to be back with you guys this evening. Obviously, we've all had a little chance to digest Liverpool's victory over Nottingham Forest. We've all had a chance to pick ourselves up off the floor from laughing at Manchester United and their 3-0 obliteration at home by Manchester City in the Manchester Derby. And life's pretty good right now as a Liverpool fan. So first and foremost, look, we got to speak about Lucho's family, and we will. That's, of course, at the forefront of everybody's thoughts today, not just from Liverpool's perspective, but I'm sure in the wider footballing world. And I just want to say thank you to you all for bearing with us earlier on. My internet is now back, and I'm all good to go, but appreciate that you guys stuck with us throughout a bit of a rocky period earlier on today. But that's why we love you guys so much. You're always got our backs. You're always here for us, so thank you for that. Pretty good day though, all in all, from a footballing perspective, on the pitch, I should say. Praying for Lucho, absolutely. Look, the latest update that we've seen publicly on this is one that's come in that says the prosecutor Francisco Barbosa revealed that there are indications that Luis Diaz's father could already be in Venezuela. Of course, we're just waiting for and hoping for good news like everybody else. Reading into what's happened, I'm sure you guys have seen it yourself. Luis Diaz's father and mother were at a petrol station, I believe, near their hometown. They were ambushed, they were kidnapped. Luis Diaz's mother was thankfully returned fairly quickly. She's unharmed, but obviously very shaken up from the incident. And now the Colombian authorities are, of course, trying to track down and rescue Luis Diaz's father. And until the man is safe and well, everybody is, of course, going to be on edge. And everybody associated with Liverpool Football Club, Colombia, of course, and the greater footballing world are just hoping for the safe return of Luis Diaz's father. Usyk and Fury looks like it's getting delayed. Of course it is. I mean, look, we'll get into all of that as well, don't worry. But there's no way that they're going to go ahead on the 23rd, because Fury's a long way away from being fit for the 20th. And I don't mean the nonsense little tiny nick on his forehead. I mean, look at him. He's not fit. He wasn't in good shape for that fight. I think it's the heaviest he's ever been, if I'm not mistaken, in the ring. Colin, how are we? He said, hey, beautiful. So proud of the boys today. Van Dijk makes me proud every day to keep fighting through all the hate. Eric 10 Heisenberg is embarrassing. Yeah, Verge was excellent today. I have to say, did the player ratings, that went up earlier on. And thank you, by the way, that's doing really good numbers, so we appreciate your support on that one. But yeah, look, I tried to reset my opinions on Virgil van Dijk over the past couple of weeks and just start to look at things again with fresh eyes. And today I was very, very pleased with all aspects. And I thought Ibrahim Konate was very good today as well. There's a couple of little things that we have to talk about and we have to figure out. Alexis McAllister is closing in on a 1-game suspension. One more yellow card before the first 19 games of the season are up for him, and he will have a 1-game suspension to deal with, but I'll talk about that in a while. Lovely celebration from Diogo Jota as well earlier on. A beautiful tribute to Lucho. And, you could even hear how emotional Klopp was speaking about it today. I can't praise everybody at the club enough. Obviously the players, the management, the coaches, the backroom staff, everybody, for making sure that those players were able to go out there and perform today as best they could under what would be very, very trying mental circumstances. Their thoughts will be with their teammate, their brother, of course it will. So full credit to everybody who got the lads ready and prepared today to go out on the pitch. To Virgil van Dijk, to Trent Alexander-Arnold, to Alisson, to the rest of the leaders in that dressing room. They went out there, they did their job professionally, and they deserve immense credit for that. Any news about Nucho? Nothing new, mate. Nothing new other than we spoke a minute ago that there's some, I don't want to say belief, but there's a possibility that his father could be in Venezuela. That hasn't been confirmed yet. So, look, it's best in these circumstances, in my opinion, to say nothing and wait for absolute certainties than to potentially give anybody incorrect information. So, as an example, there was a post earlier on today, I think it was from the Daily Mail, if I remember you guys saying it to me correctly. No, it was the Daily Mirror, my apologies. that said initially that his father had been recovered, that there was a shootout. That turned out to be false. So we don't want to be part of a problem. We want to let those who have the information speak about the information and inform us, whether that's via Liverpool Football Club or anybody else. We want to wait for it from the right sources. Ahmed, why are you crying? Why are you crying about not being read out in the chat? There's about 400 or 500 comments in there, and I've read about 10 of them. And you're crying like a whiny little... Mate, give it a rest. We're talking about serious topics here. We're talking about people's fathers being kidnapped, and you're jumping up and down because nobody's giving you a pat on the head and saying, "Attaboy." Grow up. Any clue who gave Jota the Diaz shirt? No, I don't. Do you know what? I don't. Because Klopp said he wasn't aware that it was going to happen, but clearly Diogo or the forwards had a prior conversation about this, because as you rightly pointed out, mate, the jersey came quite quickly. Do you know the town Gorey in Ireland? No, Bonnie, never heard of it. No, you'll have to fill me in on Gorey. Is it nice? I mean, I've lived here for the past 12 years, but yes, I do know the town. I live in it. And it's a beautiful town full of great people, and I very much enjoy living in Gorey. Is his dad being in Venezuela a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, I guess it's a bad thing from the context of it kind of goes out of the Colombian authorities' hands and into the Venezuelan authorities' hands. So from that perspective, I guess it makes things more complicated, I would imagine. But as I said, let's wait till we hear some facts on the situation from those who are actually in a good place to give us those viewpoints. Are you more of a city living person or a town living person? Definitely a city or a town. I'm going to say town. I don't like built up areas, if that's the question. I get very panicky around that many people. So yeah, not really. I like small doses of city life or town life or whatever you call it, with big built up areas. Right, look, I want to talk you through the situation with Andre Trindade, because it's got me intrigued, of course, over the past week or so, and he's been speaking out himself. So basically, he's got the Copa Libertadores final coming up against Boca Juniors. I think it's within the next week, if my memory's correct. And then after that, there's 7 more fixtures left in the Brazilian Serie A. And after that then, which I think is early December, the season will be over in Brazil, and most likely then is the time that Liverpool will start to negotiate with Fluminense to try and bring Andre Trindade to the Premier League, and hopefully, of course, to Liverpool. But he was speaking about it and offering his view on what he believes will happen. This is what he had to say. At the end of the year, I don't know what will happen. Many things could happen. I'm sure that just having arrived here, knowing that it worked, was something that helped me a lot as a person and also helped me in my career. When we make the right choice, we're faithful, and when we act honestly, good things will happen. That's what he's been saying. And basically, he's been speaking about the fact that he stayed at Fluminense. He didn't want to jump ship. He wanted to show some loyalty to the team and wanted to help them out this season. Their season, as I've mentioned, finishes in December. And of course, we all know that the winter transfer window in Europe then opens on the 1st of January or the 2nd of January, one or the other. And I expect him to come in. Looking between the lines and looking at the Brazilian side of this and listening to the Fluminense fans, there's a couple of Fluminense English accounts which reckon that it's about 90-95% likely that Andre ends up at Liverpool. I know Arsenal have been mentioned, but you know, with all due respect to Arsenal, I think we're quite far along in this process with Andre. I think he's convinced of the move to come and play in Liverpool. Obviously, we've wooed him, for want of a better phrase, as well. So, look, if we do make a signing in January, I would be most confident that Andre would be the signing we make in January. But, you know, it's football transfers. You never know with these things until it's signed, sealed, and delivered. But I'm feeling rather optimistic about this one, and I don't know how you guys feel. I mean, let's get a poll in the chat, actually. Let's get that up straight away. Right, so I've asked you, will Liverpool sign Andre in January? We'll get that poll up and you guys can have your say. So I mentioned earlier on when we started that we're walking a bit of a tightrope with a couple of players, one in particular with regards to potential suspension. So obviously we've just got Curtis Jones back now. Today was the last game of his domestic suspension, so he'll be available for Jurgen Klopp for the game coming up next week against Luton. But Alexis McAllister did give us a bit of a headache today because, as you've seen, he picked up a yellow card in the 58th minute of the game against Forest. That's his fourth one so far of the Premier League campaign. And if he's to pick up one more between now and the end of the 19th game, so the first half of the season, he would then receive an automatic one-match ban. The next one after that is Trent, who has 3, I think, so he has 2 left to play with before the 19th, or he'd receive a one-game suspension. After 19 games, if you receive 10 yellow cards by game week 32, you receive a 2-game suspension, and if players reach a total of 15 bookings before the end of the season, they will be handed a 3-game suspension. So obviously for Alexis, this is partly to do with the position that he's playing in. He's in a defensive midfield position for Liverpool. You know, the area of the pitch where if you're going to make a tactical foul or have to stop a counter-attack, probably that part of the pitch. So it's not that he's a particularly dirty player. It's just that, of course, the area of the pitch he's playing in now and still getting used to that role. So what are we saying? What do you do if you're Liverpool right now with that Alexis McAllister situation? Because we've got to play Brentford after Luton. So do you get him a yellow against Luton, rest him against Brentford, and then have him back for the Manchester City game after the international break? Because you got to think a little bit tactically in these scenarios as well. Who doesn't want the Klopp hug? You'd be crazy to reject that. Cough, cough, Caicedo. Arian, mate, I don't just want the Klopp hug. I want a topless Klopp hug. I want chest. I want skin on skin, baby, for that Klopp hug. That's what I want. I've seen some Fluminense games and Andre plays pretty far back. Often looks like he's playing as a centre-back. I think he's quite versatile and could do a job in defence. He loves the booking as well, by the way, TB. You've probably noticed that Andre picks up a fair amount of bookings for Fluminense. Not his position, said Paul, with regards to, I think, Alexis McAllister. Yeah, it isn't his position. You're right, mate. You know, can I ask you guys a question on Alexis' performance today? I thought that was probably one of, if not maybe the best performance we've seen from Alexis McAllister in a Liverpool shirt so far. I thought he handled the game very well today. Yeah, so for me, I thought well done, Alexis, today. Look, we should be beating Nottingham Forest, let's be frank about it, we should. But we did, and we did it with ease today, so I think the lads deserve credit. And of course, with everything that's on their mind as well, thinking about their brother Lucho and of course his family, it just adds to the credibility that I think the lads take from today's performance. Will Andre be a defensive midfielder? Yes, he would. He would. But don't count Endo out. And I love, by the way, that Endo is still... He's still making sure that people know he's not giving up. And I love that about the lad. I love it. He says people look at him and see a 30-year-old, but he feels fresh, he feels good, and he wants to show people what he can do. So bring it. Love it. Love that from Endo. He was excellent today, said Conor Finnegan. His man of the match. I feel bad for Endo never starting, said Ahmed. That was his best performance in the number 6, said Dork Knight. Oh, Phil. That's lovely, dude. He said, mate, I've never seen such an enjoyable and interactive football fan channel like this one. Oh, mate, that's awesome. Honestly, Phil, thank you, buddy. I could do with a little attaboy at the minute. It's been a very tough week for stuff that I can't go into because it's private. And it's not to do with me. If it's to do with me, you know me, I'm an open book. But it's not. It's private. And I have to be respectful of what's happening. So, mate, that means a lot to me. Thank you. Justin said, my love goes out to Lucho Diaz, all of his family. I hope his father has returned home quickly and safely. Thank you for that, Justin. Lovely sentiment. Colin said, best game so far for sure. Still a wasted talent, but right now, Ryan and Dom deserve to start every match. It's so beautiful to see our midfield right now. You know, from going from last season where we had no legs in midfield, not really much chance of goals and assists coming from midfield either, to looking at it now, the one that I guess some of us, and definitely include myself, was unsure of was Ryan Gravenberch for obvious reasons. But Again, happy to say he's getting better from game to game, going from strength to strength. Dominic Soboslai is an absolute world beater. We've got Alexis McAllister, who's shown his great versatility and his willingness to play anywhere for the team. We've got Endo. We've still got young Bajcetic to come back. Curtis Jones now comes back from his suspension. Harvey Elliott has come in and hasn't missed a beat as well. It's good times, and I think we can say with the addition of an out-and-out defensive midfielder, even just to compete with Endo, we're done in the midfield and in the attack, I would suggest as well. And then we refresh in defence. We bring in maybe a centre-back and certainly a full-back, I think. And I don't think we're too far away. I don't think we're too far away from not just getting back into the Champions League next year, but of course challenging in the Champions League. Kea said, Phil is 100% correct. Other content creators only speak with the chat when it's a super chat, or they never do. Again, I'd say the same thing, Kea and Phil. I came into YouTube cold, so I didn't know what was the done thing. You know, it's not like I'd watched a lot of AFTV or United Stand or Kickoff, or, you know, I came into it cold. I didn't know what a YouTuber did. I didn't know what this relationship was supposed to be. For me, it was a natural thing to speak to people, because if someone's taken the time not just to watch but to comment, to give their thoughts on the game or the stream or whatever, where possible, I like to try and get through as many comments as I can, because I want to get to know people and I want you to feel valued as part of our community. And I understand that sometimes people get frustrated with me. I get it. I can't read out every comment. I wish I could. But we have a wonderful community of people in here, and it is a day after day a pleasure to be in here and chat with you guys about football, about our club, and about everything, you know, whatever's on our mind. What do you think of Tottenham? When are they going to bottle it? Well, look, credit where it's due. What are they now? 10 games in, 26 points, only 4 points dropped, 2 draws. You know, you got to give Ange Postecoglou immense credit. You've got to give a lot of credit as well to James Maddison. Very, very, very big step up for him to show that, you know, he can do it at the top end of the Premier League. Son, of course, is doing bits. Udogie, Vicario has been a very good signing for them. Look, I'm excited as a Liverpool fan and as a football fan, because I genuinely, for the first time I can remember in a long time, I look at this title race and feel it is a wide open, exciting season ahead of us. Nobody's running away with it. Nobody's already writing off the league title. There are 4 or 5 teams that will feel that they can really have a charge at this, and it's going to be interesting to see who can put together any level of consistency. You're doing great, and let's be honest, LFC are the best in the world. So there's something that gets spoken about with fan channels a lot, and I don't know how other content creators have answered this question or answered this topic, but this thing of channels do better when the clubs are losing. It's true. You know, at least that's been my experience. You don't want your club to lose, but what happens when you lose is, of course, you don't just get your own fan base, you get opposition fans piling in to have a laugh at your expense or banter with you. So any channel that tries to live off the pretenses of the club faltering doesn't improve their views, I think has been disingenuous. But what I can say, and I think I would probably be able to speak for most fan channels on this, is every single one of them would give up those views for the club doing well. Because we get into this because we love the football club. We get into this because we want to celebrate with other people. So yeah, look, sometimes Liverpool doing well is not necessarily a good thing for views, but it's certainly a good thing for the soul. It's a good thing for me. It makes my moods, and it makes me excited to talk and watch more football. John Williams, I haven't seen a 6 with Andre's skill set, defensive capability with dynamism and a great passer. I mean, I hope we're not setting ourselves up for a potential heartache here, John. Because in my head, I won't lie, in my head, I'm almost at the it's a formality side. I don't know if that's right or wrong. But we're very close, aren't we? Like, if I was to ask you all now 3 things to make this a complete squad, three signings or positions, what do you think turns Liverpool into as close to complete as we can be with our budget restraints and with the players we already have? We're not far away, right? So we asked, will we sign Andre in January? So far we've had about 700 votes, and I think you guys are with me on this one. 90% of you think that Liverpool will indeed sign Andre Trindade. Oh, it's gone down to 89 now. Never mind, it's not happening. It's falling apart in front of our very eyes. We'll leave that up for a while anyway. It'd be interesting to see what you get by the end of it. Right, so here's your answers. A centre-back, a right-back and a defensive midfielder. For You'll Never Walk Alone, AQAZ. Mo Salah 11, so we need a CDM. Ethiopia's in the house. Binyam, how are we, my friend? Nice to have you in. Craig, you should make a video where you react to your most famous clips when you hit 300k. Sure. Again, mate, it's sounds good to me. Do you know what you'll probably see me doing, though, is reacting to how bad the graphics were back in the early days compared to where we are. But yeah, I never have any problem reliving those. Darwizzy said another centre-back, a left-back and a backup for Robbo. A new centre-back and a backup right-back and a CDM, said Dork Knight. Charlie said, we appreciate Diogo Jota today. We can always count on him to get the party started. He's an assassin. That's the word I'm going to keep using, Charlie. He is so good with the ball at his feet in a penalty area. You just know what's happening. He's ruthless. It's brilliant. Jamaica. Kimoy. Jamaica's in the house as well. We love that. Andre, Hincapia and a Salah backup, said United in the mud. Just dropped in, have you seen Ezekiel Fernandez? Because for me, he's class. So I know about the links to him. Yuzuke Rift. I know about the links to him. I'm not going to lie to you and say I've watched much of him playing for Boca. I haven't. But you're right, we have been linked with him. There's also some comments that are attributed back to Alexis when he was playing for Brighton, speaking about Ezekiel Fernandez, that he would be a good fit to come to Europe someday, and he hopes that move happens for him. Craig, you're the reason I became a Liverpool supporter. Wow. That's a first. That's definitely a first for me. I mean, good. I'm happy because the more the merrier, buddy. So whatever it is that makes you fall in love with Liverpool Football Club, I think we all know once you get bitten, that's that feeling never goes. Abdul, how are we? Nice to see you in as well. I hope you're keeping well, Mr. Abdul Muiz Ahmed. Love that. Love that we've got people in from all different parts of the globe. It's amazing. Do you know what? To think of people sitting in their homes in the UK, Ireland, Australia, America, Canada, Ethiopia, Mexico, Jamaica, Malaysia, wherever it is that you guys tune in from, it's a pleasure to be part of your daily lives. It really is, and it's a pleasure to have you guys as part of mine. Craig, isn't it the final Andre versus Ezekiel? The winner signs? Well, I don't think, Toby, it'll quite come down to the winner signs. But yes, you're very much correct, sir. It is Fluminense Boca Juniors. So yes, it is Andre Trindade versus Ezekiel Fernandez. Will we sign Osimhen in January? No, we won't. I don't know what might happen at the end of the season. Even then, probably unlikely. But no, he's already been speaking, Victor Osimhen, and he said that he's very happy in Napoli. That's, a very recent comment attributed to him. He went on to speak as well about how hard it is to play in Serie A, how technical the league is, how hard you have to work. But I do think he will move on in the summer. Quite frankly, I can't see Napoli being able to satisfy his urge for big titles. I know he's won the league with Napoli, and it was a great story to see. I know they had a good run in the Champions League, but I don't think they're going to be able to consistently do that over the course of 3, 4, 5 years. So I feel we will see Victor Osimhen move. And at the moment, there's no breakthrough in that negotiation between him and De Laurentiis, the Napoli president, about a new deal. Central defensive midfielder, said Kem, Andre, a left back, Alphonso Davies. I'd love it. But I can't see Bayern letting rid of Alfonso unless there's something in his contractual situation that I'm not aware of. Dorkanite said, I'm watching Napoli now. Without him, they're really struggling. Giroud has two-headed goals. Ibad Imran said, Craig, since I first saw your videos, I've started to like football a lot more and look at it much differently. Just want to say thank you for all the hard work. Mate, no need to thank me. I should be thanking you for taking time of the day to watch. So, buddy, much love. I was almost a United fan, but my brother saved me. Well played. Well played, Nelson's brother. Well in. So in my family, like I've no brothers and sisters. I'm an only child. My dad was, I will casually say, a Villa fan, but you know, not really. Just picked Villa, I think, to be awkward. But my uncles and my cousins would probably be fairly split between Manchester United and Liverpool. So I probably could have gone either way, but thankfully somebody was looking down on me, because that night when I fell in love with Liverpool watching them play Arsenal and losing, I don't know, that was it for me. Evening from Woolpackland. Woolpack or Woolbackland? Woolpack. Is that an Emmerdale joke? Or Emmerdale comment? Right, I think I had a few more bits I needed to get through, was it? Sorry, I was just checking my notes. 40 million for Davies. Is that in his contract? Is that like a buyout clause that's in his contract? By the way, Harry Kane, take a bow, son. Take a bow. That goal he scored for Bayern, the David Beckham-esque goal. You know, sometimes in life you've just got to tip your cap to somebody and say, fair play, fella, because that was a mighty fine strike from Harry Kane. Kazoma, thank you, buddy. Much love. Appreciate you. Have I ever wore a United shirt? I wasn't even a dare, yes. I wore a United shirt for, I think, about half a season, probably, when I was playing football because of a clash in colours. So when I was playing, I think it was probably at the time 13, 12. And I had to, for half a season until we got something sorted out, borrow one of the lads' United goalkeeper shirts. You know that Peter Schmeichel one that you all think of when it comes into your head, the green one with the blue and the other colours. I'm fairly sure I had to wear that playing for my club for a while. Dorknight says Harry Kane's incredible. He is, and I'm forever going to be grateful that United didn't sign him. Oh, on United. So I was watching, I think, a clip from the post-match after the Manchester derby, and it was a conversation that Neville was having with Jamie Carragher, and after it they brought up a list of signings. So the top 4 most expensive signings that Eric Ten Hag has made recently at Manchester United were Anthony, Casemiro, Højlund and Mason Mount. And between those 4 signings, Manchester United spent about 278 or 280 million pound for Anthony, Mount, Højlund and Casemiro. That's why Manchester United are up shit creek, because their approach to everything has been scattergun. There's been no rhyme or reason to it, and to hear Jamie Carragher say again that United had absolutely no identity in their football, and to hear Neville and Keane pretty much agree with him on that particular aspect, it's strange. Like, you do start to wonder occasionally what the hell is going on, because they've gone through Van Gaal, they've gone through Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, about to go through Ten Hag if he lasts the season, which I'd be very surprised at. Like, at what point is it more than just a couple of things? Like, is it the whole structure from top to bottom? Like, is the only way to salvage Manchester United to sell up entirely and start again? Like, for want of a better phrase, to knock down the whole thing and rebuild? Who would you sign at centre back? I mean, Hincapié is the one that I think immediately we all look at. Look, I'd love the kid Branthwaite from Everton, but we're not going to get him unless Everton get relegated, perhaps. I don't like the Inacio links purely because, as I mentioned many times, we'd end up having to pay €20 million more than we would have had to last year, so that would just seem like lunacy. TOT2KZ1, how are we, dude? Said, love you, Craig, you beautiful man. Do you see anyone leaving in January? For me, if a good offer comes in, I'd sell Thiago. So I've always thought that, like yourself, if something came in, and I don't even think it has to be an offer. Like, I think if it's an offer that Thiago would take, that doesn't even necessarily give Liverpool a transfer fee, maybe. See, I just don't see when he gets back to fitness where he fits in. You know, he's not going to be a number 6 really, because we're going to probably bring in an out-and-out number 6 or Stefan or Endo. McAllister's also a role there. I just don't see where he has the legs to play in this Liverpool system, like, which sounds absurd because we're talking about Thiago Alcantara here, one of the most gifted, skillful, natural, ability-wise football players you're going to watch. But I just feel we've moved on. I feel this team have evolved past having a use for Thiago Alcantara. So I kind of agree with you. If something came in January, maybe the club would look at it, but I don't know. Never Fabrizio or any of the other journalists spoke about him. They always seem to say that he wanted to see out his time at Liverpool and he wanted to finish the season with us, and you'd have to respect that as well if that's truly what Thiago wants. Right, so we did put a poll up. It's had over 1,000 votes saying, will we sign Andre in January? We're going to end that now. It's 89% of you guys said yes, Liverpool will sign Andre Trindade in January. When is Adrian's contract up? God, I don't know, mate, but you know, if he needs a lift or anything, I'm helpful because we need to say bye-bye to him. Oh, question for United fans, or maybe for us non-United fans. Roy Keane suggested stripping the captaincy of Bruno Fernandes already. Agree or disagree? Eric Seven Hag, love you, Craig. Thank you, United in the Mud. Appreciate your comment. Look, Eric Ten Lasso, who somebody called him earlier on, and I love it too much to go back. It's Ten Lasso all the way now. Right, let's go. I'm going to start a poll on it because that's the fairest way. Strip Bruno of United captaincy. There you go. Question in the chat. Strip Bruno of United captaincy, yes or no? Again, we'll leave that poll up for you guys to vote on. Liverpool and Luton are both my teams. Gutted to miss out on tickets. Ouch. That's a tough one, Shams. But at least it's on TV, right? So at least you'll get to see it at 4:30 next Sunday. See, that's a very good answer from Stan the Man. Because I kind of feel that way. Is that exactly how Stan has written it there. They haven't got a captain. Because I don't look at that Manchester United team and see any leaders at the minute. Like, McTominay is probably the leader. Rashford isn't a leader. He's a fine player. Casemiro clearly looks like he doesn't want to be there anymore, if you go by the comments that have been posted about his situation. Maguire, they can't go backwards. Onana isn't there long enough for captain material. Shaw, maybe if he was back playing. Varane, is he a captain? Lisandro Martinez, I don't know. Like you're saying, Casemiro and stuff, yes. If Casemiro was happy and settled, I'd be with you. You know, if Casemiro was putting in the performances that he did when he first signed for Manchester United, I'd almost say it'd be a no-brainer to give Casemiro the armband. But at the moment, it doesn't look like the vibes coming out of Old Trafford about Casemiro are positive. Went from calling him my manager, Ten Heisenberg, to calling him Ten Lasso in the space of a couple of months. Yeah, somebody used Ten Lasso today, and I just thought that's so good. I have to keep going with that one. We're wasting Gakpo's talent. Victor, with all due respect, mate, I don't know how we are, because he's been injured. Like, up until he was injured, Gakpo was playing quite a bit. And now they're reintroducing him back in to make sure, of course, that we can take our time. And it's a good thing that we can take our time, because Darwin's on form, Diogo's on form, of course, Mo's on form. So I think it's actually a good thing that we don't have to rush Cody back. I think we'll probably see him start against Bournemouth on Wednesday. But again, trying to turn maybe a negative into a positive, what a collection of forwards, buddy, we have at the club. Give Johnny Evans the captaincy in a 5-year contract, said John Williams. Would I take Rashford as a bench player? Yeah, I would. Because I think Klopp would really get the best out of him. And Marcus Rashford, confident, full of ability, at his best, I think is a fine player. I just think he's too inconsistent at Manchester United, and I think he has to be the hero at Manchester United, because there's nobody else to really take up the slack. Martial hasn't done it. Højlund, look, it's too early to say on him. He looks like a promising youngster, but I think it's all fallen on Rashford. I can see Watkins to Spurs. Is that a step forward, though? Like, Aston Villa are a club that are on the up at the minute under Unai Emery, and with very ambitious owners who will back the manager. Look, I know Spurs are sitting at the top of the Premier League table, fair enough, but I don't know, there's something happening at Villa. I don't know if I'm Ollie Watkins or John McGinn. I'm not jumping ship for a while. You know, I'm seeing how that works out, because he's got a manager who very much believes in him, in Unai Emery, and he's starting to reap the rewards of that. And I think if I'm Spurs, I mean, I don't want to say this, but you'd be breaking the bank for Evan Ferguson if you're Spurs. Like, that's what I'd be doing. That's where my money would be if I was Daniel Levy and I was looking to bring in a striker. Is Salah a GOAT of the Prem? Yes. I don't even think the most ardent anti-Liverpool fan could deny that. Was I right, by the way? I never thought of checking up on my... I made a claim earlier on that Mohamed Salah broke another record today by scoring, I believe, for the 5th home Premier League game in a row since the start of the season. I think he's the first to do it. So I think that was a record today. I haven't seen it confirmed since. And if I'm absolutely delusional, I apologise. But I swear I read that yesterday. Will Everton get relegated? Said Red Gamer. I think it comes down to the points deduction. If they don't get a points deduction, no, I don't think they'll get relegated. They're starting to pick up a couple of results. If they get the points deduction and they can't galvanise the squad together to really try and pull it out, you can't see them surviving with that 12 point deduction if that comes through. Calum said Bruno should have his captaincy taken away and it should be given to Rashford, but I want Bruno to stay as the captain if it means United continue this awful string of performances. I wonder, would it be the right thing to give it to Rashford, like increasing more pressure on his shoulders? Would that be the way to go? I guess it depends on the individual, probably. Maybe Marcus Rashford's the type of guy who'd flourish under that type of role, I don't know. He's the third one to do it. But it was an equaling of a record, right? I didn't just make that up. Like, there was some record that he's equaled. Bellingham's top 3 in the world right now. Oh, please don't bring up Jude Bellingham, mate. Oh, please don't. Like, every time I turn on the TV and I watch him tearing it up at Real Madrid and scoring worldies and, fair play to him, firstly. He's taken the whole thing in his stride. But God doesn't half sting as well. But that being said, I'm not at all displeased with the signings we have made. What do you think of Leon and the coach being attacked? I just caught a little bit of that, Letters, before I started the stream. So if I'm right, Leon's trip to Marseille was postponed because their team bus was attacked by Marseille fans, and there was a broken window and a few other bits, and the manager received lacerations to his head and was bleeding. So the match was postponed, and rightly so, I should say. I mean, it's disgusting. It's a game of football. And look, before anybody starts, yeah, I know. Manchester City, I get it. I know. I didn't condone that either. I'm not going to condone this. Before anybody starts bringing up the Copperberg incident. But there's something in France that it's not new. Like, I remember looking at Nice playing against, was it Marseille previously? There's form over there for real fan ultra behaviour, and it's not football. It's not what it's about. It's just scumbag thuggery behaviour. What do you think of Anthony at United? Not much. Like, there's a player in Anthony, but not the money they paid from. That's just stupidity of the highest order, the amount of money they paid for Anthony. And again, he looks like he's got distractions that are perhaps preventing him from having his full focus on being a professional athlete at Manchester United. Like, look at Anthony as an example, as a signing for Manchester United, and then look at, I don't know, I'm trying to give a comparable at Liverpool. I mean, I could say Salah, but I feel like that's not a fair comparison. Jota as an example. Jota's brought in to be in and around the first team, to be a competitor, to be there or thereabouts. Never lets us down. Never. You might get frustrated with him, but dude's going to score goals. Anthony, he's just reminds me of early days of Cristiano Ronaldo at Manchester United, but without the focus and desire and single-mindedness that you knew Cristiano Ronaldo had at Manchester. You knew his only goal was to strive to be better, to work on the training pitch, and to become, as he says, what he wanted to be, the best footballer in the world. And there were times where he was the best footballer in the world. You know, the amount of Ballon d'Ors the man has speaks for themselves. So Ronaldo pushed on. He went to United as a youngster. And I don't want to say he outgrew United, but he was ready for that next step, next leap in his development, and went to Manchester United, or went to Real Madrid, and look, the rest is history. I don't see the same desire or vibe coming from Anthony. And athleticism. Oh yeah, look, Ronaldo, physical specimen, you know, like Mohamed Salah. There's one thing you can never accuse Ronaldo or Salah of being, and that's out of shape. The two of them are absolute bodies are a temple, and they look after themselves off season tremendously well. Here's one for you. How do you feel if I say to you that we basically paid the same money for Dominic Szoboszlai as Manchester United did for Mason Mount? How does that sit with you? Because it makes me feel pretty smug, I won't lie. So, strip Bruno of the United captaincy. We asked you guys 11 minutes ago, and we've had over 500 votes. So far, 78% of you guys think yes, Eric Ten Hag and Manchester United should strip Bruno Fernandes of the Manchester United captaincy. Right, I'm just going to fill you in on. Thank you, Mark, for sending this to me, by the way. Just have a couple of things to go through. That's Salah records that Salah broke. So, Salah became the third player in Liverpool history to score in each of the club's opening 5 league games. The other ones were Harry Chambers in 1922 and John Aldridge in 1987. What's the other one? There's another stat here somewhere as well. One suck. That's what he said. No, I can't find the other one. But yes, so as pointed out, he's the third to do it. Aldo and the other gentleman from 1922. So I know people are going to be asking as well about the latest on Lucho, but as I said, until we have confirmed news from credible outlets in either Colombia or of course directly from Liverpool Football Club, we don't feel comfortable saying anything that we don't know for certain to be a fact. So what we know factually to be the case is that his two parents were at a petrol station on the way home towards their hometown. They were ambushed and kidnapped. Diaz's father was taken off on a motorcycle. His mother was taken as well. His mother has thankfully since been safely returned. She has no physical damage, but of course she's very scarred mentally, as you would expect in these circumstances. And as of yet, there's no confirmation on the whereabouts or the return of Luis Diaz's father. And that's, of course, what we all hope, that he's found safe and well. There's also been a reward offered. I think it translates, it's 100 million Colombian pesos. I think it translates to about £40,000 sterling, something like that, for any information that leads to the rescue of Luis Diaz's father. Salah broke the goals record in Europe for the most by Premier League player. Yep, he eclipsed Thierry Henry with that. And off the top of my head, I want to say it was 43 goals. We paid about half the money Gakpo paid United for Anthony. So yeah, look, if you look at it that way, as I mentioned, United spent 280 odd million quid buying Casemiro, Anthony, Mason Mount and Højlund. And of all of those, I think Højlund's, jury out. Too early to make a decision on him. He's a young player in his career. But Mason Mount, 60 million quid. Are you mad? I remember having conversations about him coming to Liverpool and we were saying, yeah, 35, 40 may be worth a punt. But I also remember being told that we'd signed a squad player from Leipzig when we signed Dominic Szoboszlai, so there is that. But yeah, look at the money we've spent. What we spent on Darwin is, I think, in and around the similar amount of money that United spent on Anthony. And that's all add-ons included. Darwin is showing up to be the player we thought he was going to be. And look, he still has a way to go. No, he's not the finished article, but he's shown the signs of going in the right direction. Cody Gakpo, bargain. Absolute bargain. Diogo Jota, more than fulfilling his role in the Liverpool team. And of course, Lucho's had a good start as well. Was Gakpo's offside goal today good? No, it was a fairly straightforward tap-in, to be fair. It was a ball played across from the right-hand side. And he was on the 6-yard box and he tapped it home. But he was definitely offside. Craig, when we wanted Mount, do you think Klopp wanted him as a starter or a squad player? I would have imagined it would have been as a starter. And look, there's a player in Mount. Again, I'm not here to say Mason Mount is crap, but are you really going to expect Mason Mount to not have the injury track record he had before signing for United or whoever he went to? It just felt like a weird one. It felt like it was being driven, excuse me, more by... And it's because I read stuff on this as well that I'm saying this. It felt like it was being driven more by those behind the scenes, by those maybe at his agency, because it was written, and I'm sure United fans have seen this high and wide, but it was written that they wanted him to basically market himself as the next David Beckham at Manchester United, which he is not, David Beckham. Paul K, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, my mate. Appreciate you being with us. We got Firmino, Mane, Salah for the same price as Anthony. We'll just let that sit there for a minute, John. That's yeah, we've been pretty good with our money. What do you think about Michael Olise as a Salah replacement? He certainly should be in the conversation. Obviously signed a new deal at Crystal Palace. I'm not sure if his new deal has a buyout clause in it or not. Look, there's lots of players we could talk about if we know for certain that the great man is going to leave. You know, we've mentioned Nico Williams. Obviously, there's the high price ones as well. Your Rodrigos, your Rafaelios, your Kvaratskhelia. But Jared Bowen still would be at the tippity top of my list. Ten Hag's style of football isn't great either. A lot of other clubs, I think, will get more out of these players. Look, I remember when he signed for United as manager in the early days, and I was being told by everybody and sundry that he was the Messiah. He was a genius. He was a visionary. And I said, look, I don't know, but let's wait and see. And then I start seeing the way he was signing players. You know, either going back for players he'd worked with Ajax, or he knew from the Eredivisie. And you can include Mason Mount in that Eredivisie conversation as well, because he played against Mount twice, I think, as Ajax manager. Malacia, of course, came in from the Eredivisie as well. Lissandro Martinez, of course, came in. Onana, somebody he would have worked with at Ajax before he went to Inter. It would have been alarm bells ringing for me that he was just going back to players he knew from a league that, let's be honest, with all the greatest respect in the world, is nowhere near the calibre of the Premier League. And paying too much money for these players as well. No disrespect, Jared Bowen is good but not world class. So I think we need to have this conversation, Albert, from the first perspective of, I don't think any of us think the likelihood of somebody coming in to replace Mohamed Salah and repeating Mohamed Salah numbers is possible. So I think we have to start the conversation from that point, as in we're not going to get another Salah. And then from there, just think of who will fit. And I think Jared Bowen would be an excellent fit in a Jurgen Klopp system, in a Jurgen Klopp team. And every time I've seen Jared Bowen step up, he produces. And his goals and assists tally is excellent. His work rate is phenomenal. I just think he'd be a really good fit, mate, in our team. I'm not trying to say he is in any way comparable to the great man, but he's Premier League tried and tested, left winger or left footer that can cut inside. I think he'd be brilliant. We can do better than Bowen. You see, this is where I think reverse snobbery is coming into it. I think because Bowen's English, a lot of people are like, don't know. Honestly, that's my opinion on it. But we may never find out if I'm right or wrong. But I would feel safe if we brought in Jared Bowen. When did you change your mind? On what? On Bowen? I've never not rated Bowen. So on that, I've been pretty consistent. From the past 3 years, Liverpool players that have left, who would you bring back in their prime? Firmino. Probably Firmino in his prime. Yeah, probably because Firmino's pressing, again, phenomenal. A prime Sadio Mane as well would be delicious. Matthew said, hello fellow Aspie, Lucho and family, you'll never walk alone. Thank you, Matthew, I hope you're well. Tasbo, you know, he's talking about politics from the point of view of people don't come in here to have a discussion about the tragedies that are happening in the world. And we all have every sympathy and our own personal feelings on what's happening in the Israel, Gaza, Palestine situation. But this isn't the place to discuss it, mate, because we all want humanity to be at its best. We want people to be safe, well, and respected and loved. But we're not going to solve Middle Eastern politics on a Liverpool discussion. And there's enough division in the world at the minute that I don't want it in my chat. because I don't want people falling out. I want this to be something that brings us together. There's enough stuff out there that will try to rip us apart and try to pigeonhole us in one thing or another. In here is where I want people to be able to relax, to let their hair down. Not me, obviously. And to just be themselves, man. And I hope you understand that, because it certainly isn't we pick one side, we pick the other. It's not about that. It's just about keeping divisive topics out of the agenda that we're speaking about. That's all it is. Who are you buying with the Salah money? Depends on the Salah money. Like, my preference is 100% for Mo to get an extension. I'd love to wake up and read that Mohamed Salah's been given another 2 years, so he's got 3 years to go. Then we can forget about that conversation about who replaces Mo, because, you know, I don't think any of us here feel that Mohamed Salah wouldn't be able to play at the highest level for another 2, 3, 4 years easily. Look at him, as I said earlier on, he's a specimen. He's no, there's not a pick on him. He's never out of shape. He lives the lifestyle of a professional athlete. So yeah, I mean, that's the priority. That's the hope. Neto a better option than Bowen? Is he? Fuck. Come on, dude. Neto's the flavour of the month, but has also had a pretty bad record of injuries. And I like Neto, but he is in no way a better signing than Bowen. Not a chance. No way. Not until he shows that he can go a season without falling apart with injury. His footballing ability is top notch, but nah, he's too injury prone, mate. It would just be a frustration for us, because we're working from the point of view of Mo being like unbreakable nearly to some extent. Like, he's always available. I hope Salah finishes his career at Liverpool, said Iranian Pride. Nice to see you in, my friend. It's been a while, I think, since I've seen you in. I hope you're well. Rodrigo. Oh, Darwizzy, don't be doing that. I do love the idea of Rodrigo. You know, I do. I've said it to you before. Will this live stay up? Yeah, I feel like it will. I feel like I'll leave it up. Why? Is there a reason you're asking? Is there a particular thing that you wanted to grab from it or something like that, mate? What's the best football game you've ever played? So, when you say football game, do you mean me on a football pitch, pair of boots, kicking a ball? Or do you mean favourite football computer game I've ever played? J Muse is still on the Bakayoko train. Dude, honestly, my opinion on him is not that he's not good enough, or is. I just don't know enough about Bakayoko. Oh, video game. God. Is anybody old enough to remember Sensible Soccer? Because I remember I had loads of fun with that when I was younger. I mean, the answer is probably FIFA, but the earlier incarnations of FIFA, where you didn't have to spend money. Big Chungus, thank you for upgrading your membership to become an Anfield Agenda Ultra, my man. Much love. Pro Evo back in the early days was pretty damn good as well, Adam. That's a good shout. Dave remembers it on the Mega Drive. There you go. Sensible Soccer. That was one I remember playing anyway. Like, I'm old enough to have gotten a Commodore 64 when I was a kid for Christmas. How come Everton get punished so quickly but nothing for City? Look, again, not knowing the intricacies of both cases, I would suggest that the Manchester City case is far more complex, because there's 115 plus charges, and the way the money has been, shall we say, accounted for is probably far more complex. So that's all I can think of, without really, as I said, getting into specifics that I don't know about with the Everton case in particular. Kubo would be a good replacement, said Alexander. So I do agree with you, but here's the thing about Kubo, which I'm sure you're probably aware of. Real Madrid have an option to buy him back for €30 million. And if his current market value and his release clause is set at Sociedad at about €60 million, if you're Real Madrid, and you want to bring in money to help bring in more players, you're going to buy back Kubo and sell Kubo and probably double your money. So that's what I expect to happen. And when that happens, I don't think we want to be buyers at 60, 65 million. That's my guess at it. Chiesa, hand on heart, I haven't followed enough of Chiesa this season at Juventus. I've paid very little attention to Italian football. What's the title about? So Andre has been speaking about his situation. I'll read you through what he's been saying. So he was talking about the fact that obviously the Brazilian season is coming to a close. He plays for Fluminense, of course, who are in the Copa Libertadores, their version of the Champions League. That final's coming up next week, if I'm not mistaken. And then after that, there's 7 league games left in Brazil. And at the start of December, he will be finished his season, and Fluminense probably far more palatable and open to selling him. So this is what he said about his future. At the end of the year, I don't know what will happen. Many things could happen. I'm sure that just having arrived here, knowing that it worked, was something that helped me a lot as a person and also helped me in my career. I think that, as Dini said, when we make the right choice, we're faithful, and when we act honestly, good things happen. So he's just leaning into the fact that he wanted to stay. He wanted to see through this, at least this season, this project with Fluminense, because they believed in him. So I think, if you add into that the other few bits and pieces we've seen, then take your lead from the Fluminense accounts, fan accounts, they feel he's going to end up at Liverpool. Some of them are going as far as thinking 90-95% he ends up at Liverpool. Colin said, heading out, homework to do, love you and be safe. Same to you, Colin, and thank you as always, dude, for your support. And we are defo rocking up to Ohio for that roast beef sandwich, mate. That's happening. A Bengals game, a roast beef sandwich, and lamb skewers. Put my order on now. As you've seen, only 5,500 kilometers for me to get over to you. Is it possible that Madrid buy Kubo to keep him and sell Rodrigo to raise money for Mbappe? I guess anything's possible, yeah. They've got Endrick coming in from Palmeiras. I think is it the end of this season that he comes in? It looks like they're probably going to get Mbappe. If anything, they can sign Mbappe on a pre-contract in January. So yeah, maybe. Again, I think Real Madrid is going to be interesting to watch, because if they get an Mbappe, it's just going to be ridiculous. Like Vinicius Jr., Mbappe, Endrick, Bellingham, Valverde, Camavinga, Tchouaméni. It's just ridiculous. Just had a roast beef sandwich, French bread and cheese. Nice, Otto. Get it into you. Nothing wrong with that. That sounds delicious. What's the news on Diaz? I don't have any new news, Layla. Nothing new that I've seen other than, what we know to be fact. His mum is back safe. Still no confirmation on his father. There's a reward, I think, of about £40,000. That's all I know at this moment in time. There's been one comment that was sent my way that says, Prosecutor Francisco Barbosa revealed that there are indications that Luis Diaz's father could already be in Venezuela. Other than that, I don't want to spread any falsehoods or talk about anything that we don't know to be the case. So just trying to be respectful to the Diaz family and, of course, to the Liverpool fan base. Andy, how are we? So just finished coursework, Thoughts with Lucho and hope his dad returns safely. Can't even imagine what he's going through right now. Yeah, and again, I want to just before I finish up, I just want to take a minute to say to Jurgen Klopp, to Pep Linders, to Kravitz, to all the backroom staff, to everybody, right up to the owners, for being able to get the guys focused, out on the pitch, putting in a professional performance, for supporting Luis Diaz. It's at times like this where you see the real side of Liverpool Football Club as a community, as a family of a club. And I'm very proud of all of them today, from the manager through to the players, Diogo for that beautiful tribute. And look, we just hope for good news on Lucho's father. I can't imagine what he's going through. So yeah, best of luck, and hopefully we wake up tomorrow to better news. Matthew Burgess, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, buddy. Right, I've got to go because I have a meeting at 10 p.m. To go over some stuff which I can't talk about, as I said, over the last few days. So I know you all want me to tell you what's going on with Goldbridge. I know you want me to, and you know I'd love to, but here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to give him the chance to flip this and make it out like he's the one that's suffering. We have to do this the right way. And as I mentioned, he has a chance still to apologise for what he's done, to reach out to those people that he has affected, and we will see what tomorrow brings. But until then, you know, I got to keep my head straight, support my team, make sure that they have the resources and the support they need, and all in good time. So much love, and thank you for joining me tonight, and we will see you tomorrow, same time, same place, and have yourselves a lovely Sunday.